There have been quite a few ports of Sega games to the PC Engine at this point, and while some of them have played well, for whatever reason, all of the Sega ports have had pretty bad sound. But here's Golden Axe, and it's on CD-ROM. So it must sound great, right? Oh no. I'm gonna skip to the end on this one because Golden Axe is known as one of the worst PC Engine games ever. It's a technical disaster, terminally unfun, and a truly shameful port in virtually every way. Golden Axe was one of Sega's big arcade hits, and it was their primary entrance into the beat-em-up genre. 2 players could pick between 3 characters on an epic quest to defeat the evil Death Adder. He's a big armored villain who carries a giant axe. At this point, Golden Axe had already received a pretty good Mega Drive port. An obvious downgrade from the arcade, but not that much of a downgrade. The PC Engine port was the first game by Renovation, who were really just a rebranding of the LaserSoft internal team at Nihon Telenet. It's probably Telenet's best-known label, since a lot of Renovation games got released in the US. The way that development went was that Nihon Telenet acquired the rights to make this version of Golden Axe in July of 1989. They then assembled the team and told them that the game had to be ready for Christmas. CD duplication at the time took several months, and that meant that the team that was just getting started at the beginning of August was told that they had to finish the game by the end of September. Now, the team did miss the deadline, but that meant they got an extra 4 weeks. Now, turnaround on games could be a lot faster back in the day. But going from 0 to finished port of a current arcade hit with extra multimedia flourishes in 12 weeks is absurd. Obviously, something had to give, and in the case of Golden Axe, a lot gave. The most obvious problem is the sound. There's a lot more wrong with this port than that, but the sound is the first thing that assaults you. The reason this game sounds so awful is that all of the fast memory that is supposed to be dedicated to audio samples for PC Engine CD-ROM games had to be used for the graphics. Even though there were opportunities to offload some of that to interstitial CD-ROM loading, the president of Nihon Telenet vetoed that, and so there was virtually no memory for the audio effects, and you got some very simple, very awful sounding ones. Now, since this is a CD-ROM game, cutscenes have been added. For example, there's this intro where we see that the villain Death Adder was actually a little bitty snake that they put a big helmet on. The plot of Golden Axe is that the little snake becomes a big buff guy, and he just likes going around the place killing everyone. So 3 fantasy heroes go after him. While other versions of Golden Axe offer cooperative play, that has been removed in the PC Engine version. This thing's rickety enough already. I'm not sure it could stand having a second player. When you start, you're given your choice of the 3 characters: Tyrus Flare, Axe Battler, and Gilius Thunderhead. And yes, something made the punctuation really weird in this game. Once you've picked a character, you get their own introductory cutscene where you learn why they're fighting Death Adder. Tyrus Flare saw Death Adder kill her family in front of her. Gilius Thunderhead saw Death Adder kill his family in front of him. Axe Battler just likes chopping people up. The way the characters are supposed to be balanced is that Tyrus is the weakest attack, but moves the fastest and has the strongest magic. Gilius is supposed to have the strongest attack, but move slower and have weak magic. And Axe Battler's the guy in the middle. Now, in the PC Engine of Golden Axe, that doesn't really work. Axe Battler, for some reason, is super slow, and everybody's attacks seem to do the same amount of damage. And even the magic doesn't seem to have that much difference between it. You get magic by collecting blue potions that you find by kicking little elves. And as you get more potions, it fills a meter. The number that you've reached tells you what spell you'll cast. Tyrus has flame spells, Axe Battler has earth spells, and Gilius has lightning spells. For Tyrus, she has to collect as many potions as would fill anyone else's bar, and then she can get beyond level 1. But then her spells go up to 6. Gilius's spell bar is easy to fill, but it only goes up to 3. Well, 6 is much larger than 3, so it must be much stronger, right? As far as I can tell, the most powerful spell from everyone winds up having roughly the same strength. I'm not going to say that there aren't slight differences in power, but if there are, then it is very slight. The next major problem with the game that you're going to notice is when you're attacked by multiple enemies. If 2 enemies are overlapping, then you can only hit one of them. So if you're fighting a group of enemies, and they come together, which they will do because unlike in the original Golden Axe, they're not programmed to walk around you, then you're going to wind up in a situation where you're attacking one of them while the other one can freely hit you. And once they're on top of each other like that, you can't really separate them. It breaks the combat in the game pretty bad. Not as bad as removing about half your moves did, but still pretty bad. Maybe that's why they scaled down the quantity of enemies so much. You fight maybe 1/3 as many people in Golden Axe on the PC Engine as you do in the arcade game. Combat encounters tend to be very short and only involve one group of enemies. In the original version, usually you'd get into a fight, and after you defeated 1 or 2, some additional ones would join in. This goes right up to the boss encounters, which are also massively scaled back. They did extend your life bar for the home version. You have 5 bars of health instead of 3, and you have 3 lives. When you lose your last life, you're given the opportunity to continue, though it does send you back to the beginning of that stage. Some of Death Adder's forces are riding monsters. If you knock them off their perch, you can climb on yourself and then use the monster's attack. There's a couple varieties of dragons that breathe fire, and this weird pink thing that spins around. When you attack with a little pinky, it winds up facing the opposite direction, and that will often give the enemies that you are attacking an opportunity to strike back and knock you right off it. As for the controls, button 1 jumps, button 2 attacks. You can double tap in a direction to run, and pressing select will activate your magic. At least those don't feel too bad. In between stages, you'll have a little rest and encounter a bunch of the elves. Besides the blue ones that drop potions, you'll see green ones that will drop food, and that food will restore 1 bar of your health. Like I mentioned, Golden Axe on the PC Engine has a really bad reputation in Japan. Bad enough that I saw some people refer to it as the turning point for Nihon Telenet. They were going from a company that was almost guaranteed to give you something great to one with a lot more mixed results. It's pretty clear at this point that I also didn't like Golden Axe. I'm not a huge fan of the original, but this version is a desecration of it. That sounds pretty extreme, but if you play the PC Engine version of Golden Axe, well, and I could keep going with faults here. The terrible enemy AI, the way the graphics cut out for magic spells, the way the sprite work looks like they took the original sprites and then scaled them down in MS Paint rather than redraw them. The only real question is if Golden Axe is the worst PC Engine game. And to that I say, no, I have already played worse. But this is definitely way down there.